What's up, world? Welcome to the latest episode of Power Spike. It's your boy dGon here, alongside Dom and Jamada, to break down Global League of Legends as we head closer and closer towards MSI and the regions, naming all the unique different champions. Congratulations to MKOI, Movistar KOI, for getting it done over in the LEC, and CFO going back-to-back over in the LCP, getting it done over GAM. First time in a long time we won't be seeing PSG Talon. I guess they're not PSG Talon anymore. Just Talon over at an international event. Karsa comes, joins. Doesn't quite work out there for them. So we are moving closer and closer to that. Same thing here in Korea, LPL. We just watched the IG versus WE match. The WE Dream Run is over. The Shopify Dream Run still alive over there in the LTA North. As they upset Team Liquid. Lots of stuff, but we will start, as we always do, with a little bit of the sack tap. Let's start there with that, as Cloud9 get close to getting over the hump over FlyQuest, but not quite able to at this week's sack tap. All right, y'all. Dom, it didn't feel like the scoreline was indicative of how things ended up. But how did you see it?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, you had several games that it felt like you guys had won. Like, you guys lost the series 3-2 rather than a win. Or you guys had won the series 3-2 rather than lost the series 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could see it both ways because, like, in that game, too, it's like they threw and then we threw back to them. So it's like, from their perspective, it's like, well, we threw that game. So they feel like, it's like, if they're like, okay, we were winning and then both teams threw. So it's like, we're kind of winning the entire time. I think game one is like a really hard situation versus FlyQuest generally because they have so many champions that they are willing to play into everything that are just like really hard to deal with. And feels like you kind of have locked bans. So it's like, I think game one's a situation where, you know, we tried to obviously give them Cassio and play like a side laning comp with Ryze Pantheon, but we just didn't get enough done in side lane. We also gave Cassio like 2 free kills at the beginning of the game, which was really, really fucking bad because the whole idea of your comp is that like Cassio is essentially just a turret moving around the map. You know, it's like very slow. It's hard to transition from lane to lane. It's a champion that is really strong if you can get into a position, but it's not easy to chase people around the map. So ideally, if you're playing stuff like Pantheon Ryze, you can just gank side lanes and just play on side lanes permanently, and it's very hard for the Cassio to like do anything about it. If like Ryze and Pantheon just are like, okay, we're ulting bot right now, and you just full send on the bot lane, it's very hard for like the Varus to survive these types of situations. But we just didn't get enough of that done in the game to actually win game one. So game one was tough, but it's also like we're red side game one. It's going to be hard to win red side game one. I think red side becomes easier throughout the series when more things are banned because there's less OP stuff to pick. Yeah, just in general. Then game two, we threw on their Nexus. I think we also made some like really big mistakes when it came to lane assignments. Like our lane assignments were like trash. Like we let them lane Kalista Renata into the Gwen for like a 5-minute stretch when Thanatos actually had an advantage 1v1 on the set. If we don't do that, like I think the game is going really well. Like we ended up having that 1 kill top lane on Set, and Set's the type of champion where if Set starts getting behind versus Gwen, it's just like Gwen is just going to take over. Which is why they decided to do the strategy of like perma swapping. So I feel like that was just, it was a situation where when you watch FlyQuest play, they'll do a lot, they'll sacrifice like waves and stuff to make sure they get lane assignments they want. And I feel like they were just abusing the fact that we, you know, just want to lane like super standard. We just want to like carry on these advantages as much as possible. So I think that's something we definitely are going to like need to change, just be more aware of how they like to like play the map early mid game. And then game 3 should have been a super clean win. We massively threw on red buff, like just insanely threw a game that was almost, I would say, unplayable for them. I would say like our draft is mega winning in this game. So almost threw that game, but ended up winning anyway. Game 4 was a stomp, essentially. I think we had a big draft edge. And then game 5, I think we didn't have good answers to what they did in draft. I think they had a pretty smart draft with like the Ziggs Tristana. There's like almost no ADs up at that point. And I think the biggest part was that they like first picked Leona with All the other engage supports banned, so it's like, and even like set is banned in this game, so you can't even play that. I think that was an issue, but yeah, I don't know. I just still feel like I think FlyQuest is beatable. I just feel like we can beat them. We just need to just alter some small things and just try to tailor the game more to our style, because I do think we have defined advantages. Like, they're better around like mid-game map play than us because they're more willing to sacrifice things to make things happen. But I think we're like much better at setting up fights. Like when we get into a skirmish, if it's on any type of even footing, I feel like we're going to win. So we just need to tailor the game to like more of our strengths and less of theirs. And obviously they are going to be doing the same thing in the other direction. It's like, I don't think that they think that they're going to be a better scrapping team than us. At this point in the season, everyone just knows what the advantages of all these teams are. Like, we know everything they play, they know everything that we play. Like, everyone just plays like you play against each other constantly. Like, they're one of our main scrim partners during the season, so like everything that they play, we've seen before. We know about like the set into Gwen. Even when they did the Rumble support like a couple weeks ago, when they did that flex on us, we were banning out top laners in that period. Like, we knew that it was probably going support already, and like everyone was like, what the fuck, they flexed support? It's like I mean, it's just both teams know each other super well, so it's just going to be a game of like, they're going to try to just limit our ability to get into winnable like skirmishes, and we're going to try to limit their ability to just like walk around the map and avoid timings where we're strong.
So when you see stuff like that, like the lane swapping to set up lanes, how do you coach that? How do you go about coaching that for a team? Because it feels like it's reactive unless you can predict that a team likes to do that. And if it's reactive, it almost feels like you're going to drop a wave.
I mean, the thing is, it's like they're dropping waves to even get the lanes they want in the first place. Like, if you watch like how they do it, they just walk out of mid lane when there's a full cannon wave crashing, and we see their jungler holding the mid wave. So it's like, we know at that point that they're 100% lane swapping. There's no other thing that they would be doing. Why would the Annie randomly base and just drop a mid wave for no reason? Like, if he's going to be laning, he's going to be laning. If he wants to stay in the lane, he's not going to give a wave. So it's like, that they're going to be swapping there, and they're already like dropping waves. So I mean, there's a couple different ways to like fix it. I mean, number one is, we had a time where we could have just freely swapped in this game, and then nothing bad would have happened. But I think if not, then you just have to sacrifice the TP. You just have somebody has to TP. You overload one side, because one of your lanes is going to be pushing, right? If they have two people versus Thanatos, wherever we have R2 is going to be able to push first. So it's like, we push out mid, we push out bot, shift everyone up. Thanatos TP's bot. Now we have the lanes we want. They have TP advantage, but we can play around the TP advantage.
Okay, thank you. Like, just when it comes to lane swaps and playing it out, like throughout the history of League, we've been able to quantify, okay, this is how it goes, and if you don't do this part, this is what it costs. And so something like this, where it's like, okay, we're going to be down in TP tempo, or a TP advantage. That is kind of like what I.
That is a result if you fuck up, but we didn't even need to fuck up there. That's like, I think that's the result if you just actually end up fucked up. I mean, there's other things you can end up doing. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to solve it. Like, there's times where you can just lean, like when Thanatos is laning bot into the Kalista Renata, for example. There's a time where like our bot lane is going to be able to push every single wave. We're playing Milio Lucian versus an Annie solo mid. Like, if we ever just dash on him and press culling, the guy is like 2 HP, right? So we're going to be able to push every mid. We can literally just run our bot lane bot. Like, we can literally just have our bot lane push mid and then just walk bot with the Trundle, or with the who do we have in this game? With the Maokai, we just have them all walk together through the river, swap the lanes like that. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can fix it.
Yeah. Jamada, you got to watch those 5 games there. How did you feel about the series?
Yeah, I mean, Dom hasn't left much for me to surmise, but I will say that, frankly, yeah, if like whoever lost this series, and obviously in this case of C9, I think was always going to walk away frustrated. I think specifically because of the game 2. Both teams threw. It was a lovely game of catch. I would probably say that, given C9's position in game 2, their throw probably significantly more frustrating by the end of it. But all this series really told me was that I don't think Shopify are going to beat C9 now in the lower bracket. To me, C9 and Fly are just the solidified top 2. I like how Shopify have come through the lower bracket, and I think we're talking about them later, so I don't really want to deep dive on them. But the strengths, like Dom was saying, the strengths are very, very defined and clear for both C9 and Fly. And it seems like whoever gets more like out of either draft or just like kind of maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes, more favorable states, more times than not, they're going to be able to play out the game how they want to play it and not fuck things up and close out the game. Though game 2 is an example of that not happening 2 times. Otherwise, yeah, it was a very, very entertaining series. I feel like the style of FlyQuest still having those really annoying kind of champions to play through and around is maybe something that C9 would may feel like they need to workshop more on. But I feel like a lot of the answers were fine. Like as an example, the game 1, I would say almost top to bot. A lot of the lane matchups, frankly, sucked, but holistically, you still get to play sides, right? Like you can still overload sides through like Rise or through having TPO on the global advantage there, and the Pantheon too. But like early skirmishing was always going to be difficult, and then the Cassio kills happen. So it's like playing out the game from that position is now difficult, even though the game plan was completely sound. So I see this as 2 teams who are very clearly king of the region. And it's going to be a lot more to do with pre-planning, exiting drafts, and actually feeling good about it, and then executing on those plans coming into game, and not having fumbles like early Cassio kills going over, having Nash and then walking up on mid wave and dying, even though the game state is pretty much like finished. Like you can just close out that game, stuff like that. Yeah, these are the 2 best NA teams. Period. SR still feel closed out to me.
Give me your best performer and worst performer in this series.
I would say best performer, I will give probably Vulcan. I liked what Vulcan was doing this series. Worst performer, I feel like outside of the Ambessa game, I don't know if this is a hot take. I feel like outside of the Ambessa game, I think Thanos was kind of muted this series, which kind of sucked. So I'll land there. That's where I'll land.
He did say on the Cloud9 podcast that Whippo is the best top laner that he plays against and does these weird things. It doesn't care if he dies, and that kind of recklessness, fearlessness makes it difficult to play against because you don't know when he's bluffing, you don't know when he's not. Just a little context there. Same question for you, Dom. Top performer, worst performer. Highest rated, lowest rated.
On just C9 or on which?
Yeah, just C9. Just C9.
Oh, just C9. Okay.
I would say that the best performer overall. It's hard to say. I mean, I would say that, like, for me, I would say Thanatos, like, in games 3 and 4, he just won a Renekton Nidalee matchup, like, straight up, and just, like, solo killed multiple times. I think he solo killed, like, twice or maybe even 3 times in this game. And the best of game, he, like, completely 1v9'd. I think the Yorick Cho'Gath matchup, he just didn't know it, so...
Yeah, you got to tell him not to press the R key in front of Cho'Gath, brother.
Yeah, I had to just teach him the matchup. So, I mean, that's a matchup. I mean, I felt like we played that matchup and knew that, but maybe we just didn't. So yeah, like he just wasn't comfortable in the matchup in game 1. I'd say Blabber like definitely could have won the series for us if he just didn't die as much. Like in the base in game 2, he like flash W'd. In game 3, it's like the red invade. He died. Like we almost all died because of that. Game 5, he had the banana combo on Drake. So I'd say that compared to like what I know is possible, I think Blabber did the worst compared to like how good he is.
All right, there you have it. This week's Sack Tap Cloud9 3-2 loss to FlyQuest in the upper bracket finals. FlyQuest now the big bad boss waiting atop of the mountain as they wait the winner of Shopify Rebellion and Cloud9 later this week. That was crazy. Shopify is in. Before we dive into some of our other topics that we have prepared for you today, it's a good reminder that because this is the Sack Tap and we've been covering not only Cloud9's progress, but also the Ruddy Sex progress. They have the Ruddy documentary that will be coming out behind the scenes about the experience from this season. That'll be over at the Ruddy, the YouTube channel. So go and check that out. Also, it's time to remind you about our friends over at Factor. Now, summer is here. There's more sun, more light, more time to do all the things that make summer so special. And the number one thing you don't want to be doing all summer, spending hours cooking inside. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. Factor's meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle over summer and beyond. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your summer gains and goals. You can choose from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor powers your day, sun up to sundown, with nutritious breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Factor has your whole day covered. And enjoy this summer. Get Factor if you want all the flavor with none of the fuss. You've heard Dom talk about it. It fuels his day. Very, very busy co-streaming. He's able to go downstairs, pop in one of those gourmet meals, done in just minutes. So to get started, head on over to factormeals.com/powerspike50off. and use code PowerSpike50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code PowerSpike50off at factormeals.com/PowerSpike50off for 50% off plus free shipping. I'm telling you all, they taste delicious. You don't even know that it's just delivered to you. It doesn't even feel like delivered food. They're so filling. Factormeals.com/PowerSpike50off. Thanks to our friends over at Factor. Now it's time to rank the happy stories with a little bit of rank 'em. It's the playoff runs. We've got 4 teams from the 4 different regions. Some of them, their journeys have concluded. Some of them, their journeys are yet to be written, but the potential is there. So we're going to rank them. Who is the best underdog here? Is it MKOI, whose story we know what it ended as? WE, whose story just fell a little bit short here. KT, we're about to go see in Busan, and Shopify Rebellion, who've had some huge, huge wins in the LTA North. Let's get to it. This week's Rank 'em. All right, let's start with our concluded friends. And let's start with WE, since we just saw them finish on up. They had some massive, massive upsets earlier in the week against teams that are built for international, have international experience. And then they just got slapped by IG here in the end. It was like, the Cinderella clock struck 12 there. Didn't have enough fuel in the tank and just seemed slightly outclassed here at the end. Jamada, what did you make of this WE run?
I mean, the run overall was just incredibly, incredibly fun. All right. I think first and foremost, let's just get the non-analytical stuff out of the way. Everyone saw what happened to WE in the first split. Most people coming into the year probably had WE as bottom fucking 3. No, maybe not even. Yeah, point being, not in the top 10, very fucking low in the standings. And at this split, we managed to see them sneak into Group Ascend, as we've now come to realize Group Ascend was like a absolute hyperbolic time chamber for the worst teams on the bottom end of that kind of inside of that group rather. And just throughout their series, they just either kept on pulling really good results for themselves, or just by eye test, right? Everyone was very hyped on Monkey. And then obviously the vampire hype, shout out Aragon, he's flying that flag very high and proud. He's still not that good, but we'll let him have it because he said it last year. But let's just be realistic about it. The team as a unit just felt good. They felt fun to play. They were really synchronizing around a lot of Monkey's plays in particular in the early game. And life was very, very good. And the playoffs, 0-3 against AL. Okay, it's AL, no problem. They roll JDG in their lower bracket, and everyone is a little bit apprehensive. I myself, I think we were talking about JDG either last week or the week before, and I was like, come on, guys. JDG, they shouldn't lose to WE. Realistically, whatever issues JDG have, they'll iron them out versus WE. Holy fucking shit. Was we wrong or was I wrong? And they just looked good. Now, granted, I was still a bit 50-50 because I believed it more to be of JDG's issues as opposed to WE, but not to take away from WE. Still a fantastic series, top to bottom. They outclassed JDG. Point blank, period. But that is top esports. It depends on what angle you want to go at it, really. The LPL watchers, we all hate top esports. Anyone who is a seasoned top esports watcher, LPL watcher rather, doesn't. We're not working with top esports. That's just the way it goes. They always seem to pull through domestically. This time they fucking didn't. And they just looked mega fraudulent throughout. And WE are playing better for more of the series, obviously, as well. Awesome. Today, now, I live on an American schedule, so I didn't manage to catch game 1. So I don't know what happened in game 1. Dom can maybe cover me there afterwards. Game 2, complete stomp. Game 3, now I'm not going to say I hated their draft, but I think for them, it's a very difficult draft to play because of how I feel like WE's best version of League of Legends seems to be, which is like very, very skirmish heavy. And to me, it's Vampire assisting Monkey on more playmaking style champs. But they have Caitlyn, Karma bot. Cool. It's winning bot. It's doing its thing. The Shy has like his isolated 1.5, 2,000-ish gold lead. Nidalee shouldn't really achieve much in that game, to be honest with you. I feel like it was kind of an ego draft-ish from IG in this game 3, but it all came down to the 3rd or the 4th dragon where all WE had to do was wait for Cube to show up to the team fight and just get in formation, and they'd probably be okay. But they didn't. The fight was incredibly scattered. I want to say it was Monkey went into the pit really, really early. And then on the backside of the fight, it was both Vampire and, Karis. I think they both got one shot by a rookie combo. Before Cube was there, pretty much, in a useful position. And that was their entire like winning game state gone practically from that point because they lose control of the map off the back of that fight. IG, I think, sequence into being able to get Atacon, and the game is just fucking over. Even though IG tried to throw them a bone, like there was the double TP bot
multiple times
like multiple times. JJ died on the mid wave in that same like set of 30 seconds too, but the play just overextends. TPs come back out, or like recalls come back out, and IG wipe them because they overextend, getting a little bit hype on the play. The clock struck midnight, but to be honest with you, this doesn't feel like the WE that, like, the good versions of W that we saw in Group Ascend, or the versions of W that we got to see versus JDG versus Top Esports. It felt like they had a really fucking off day, at least from the 2 games that I watched. Again, I'll leave Dom to talk about game 1 because it's a game I haven't been able to watch yet. But IG, good for them. I feel like they're going to get shagged by BLG this weekend. I don't think it's going to be pleasant. Or at least I fucking hope so. Otherwise, we know what the social discourse is going to look like if IG go to finals. Yeah. It just feels bad for WE, to be honest with you. This team did not show everything that they had against IG here today. But they made people believe, and I think that is more than you can generally ask for out of a team that most people had basically bottom like 3 or 4 in the LPL coming into the year. Yeah,
well, they got to show everything they had through multiple series when people didn't know, and then expectation was there. In game 1, it was closer. It was much closer than. It was very scrappy. There was a ton of fighting early on, but unfortunately, the fights went the way of IG.
Yeah.
And like the fights were all early, and I think it was like 4-1 IG, and I was like, oh well, that sucks for WE.
No, in game 1, WE was 4-1.
We'll rank all of them later, but surmise WE so far. Or surmise WE's run.
So WE actually had like a lead in that game 1 because of the fact that that IG fought them around their red. Like there was a situation where Monkey ganked bot, he actually kills. It's really good. Or I mean, I guess he at least got the flash. You know, he's chilling, right? The game is in really good state. Then they fight on the red buff. Somehow they end up winning because it felt like even though IG should be stronger at that point, ended up being fine because of the way that the fight ended up going. They were in a really good zone. Braum got a ton of value. And then all that I needed to see out of WE here is that they actually slow the game down and they stick to their game plan. Because the biggest issue that I have with teams like this is when they get a lead, right? When they start winning, it's like, just because you won a couple fights that you shouldn't win early game does not mean that you are now an early game comp. Like, you still have the same win conditions that you had before, where you need to scale. You want Azir to have one item. You want Azir to have Nashor's Tooth. You want to, get into points in the game where you could play front to back with your triple tanks, essentially, in front of your Varus and Azir. And they just bought into the skirmishing game that it felt like IG really wanted to play. I mean, when one team is sitting there with Poppy, Ahri, and you're sitting there with Azir, Skarner, it's just they want to pressure early. They want to make side lane dives, and your job is to get through that, not invite them to fight you as much as they did. So I was pretty disappointed that they went down that route. I felt like they didn't need to, and it was just, like I said, it was just really unnecessary. And then throughout the game, there was just a lot of like very weird situations to me. Like the Shy TP'd behind and just killed himself at a point, and then once that happens, WE has complete control of the game. They have 3 Drakes. And then for some reason, WE just felt the need to start Baron. They should be fine. Just all the pressure is on the enemy team. Like when I'm watching this, literally all the pressure is on the enemy team. So just let the enemy team like suffer a bit, like let them just fucking go through it themselves. Let the enemy team be forced to make the plays. The enemy team has to like try to push mid and trap you on Baron, and all these things should end up happening. And instead of the game playing out like that, it just ended up just being a fucking bloodbath for no reason. And you just don't have the champions that are equipped to deal with that fast paced of a game. And the other problem was, it's like when you're playing things like Ornn and Ornn's having to group, the Ornn had like 140 CS or something at like 20 minutes. Like this guy is level 11, 140 CS because he's permanently having to run to fights to try to like contend with a Rumble. It's like they just opted into the enemy team's game. But then even once they had the lead and they have the option to then restabilize and slow the game back down, they fucked that up as well. So just felt like this was just a really like bad way to play out your team comp from WE side. So I was pretty disappointed that they ended up opting for that as opposed to just taking like just accepting, like that the enemy team fucked up and it should be kind of a free win.
Yeah, it just felt like it was all gas, no brakes for this top esports squad. I mean, for this WE squad. And maybe that was part of the joy that people saw, but instead it was, to their detriment, IG able to outclass them there in this most recent series. Let's move then next to MKOI, who we know how this one worked out. They end up becoming the LEC champions, now following after Carmen Core got it done earlier in the year, and the long reign of G2. It's much to the surprise of everyone. I went back in the VOD, and Jamada, you had a long dissertation on how like MKOI and KC aren't even in the same stratosphere, and then there's a gap after that to G2. But they're able to get it done. KC also not going to internationals because of this run. So let's chronicle like the last week of MKOI.
You know what? That was wrong. Shout out MKOI. Like I wasn't familiar with your game. I thought that the KC series that they won originally 3-2 in the first round was handed to them not softly, but given to them. Enter the lower bracket after the G2 series, which was a bit of a bollocking. I don't know. I didn't leave the second KC MKOI series feeling particularly enamored with the idea that Koi were, I mean, honestly, even the better team than KC, which is insane. But I think that to me is just a testament to how like weird a lot of those games were because of like, I think about game 4 as an example, right? Where to me, MKOI draft basically no agency, full blown like, hey, let's just scale. It's the Smolder thing. I don't know what it is with teams of Smolder right now, whereas they have this idea in their head where they just need to fight before 225, and they just completely fuck up their entire presence in the game because of it. But I look at a game like that, and it's like you're supposed to just lose gracefully, and you're not losing gracefully at all. Like it felt, yeah, not emboldening of the idea that MKOI were a particularly strong team. They handed that game to KC. I then look at game 5, and I think, well, MKOI have taken from the Tabe School of Learning. Pick Jinx in game 5. They didn't B1 it, I don't think, off the top of my head. I think it was second rotation. But yeah, KC gave themselves a composition of like 1-item spike champs in game 5, and the game was I wouldn't say slow paced, but it wasn't like balls to the walls action from start to finish, and they got outscaled. So I don't know, like MKOI, good job getting to finals. G2. I actually almost want to talk about G2 more than I want to talk about MKOI here. But I'm gonna withhold. I'm gonna be positive for a second. Alvaro, I think, is, if not the best support in the West right now, he's certainly the best support in Europe. And then also, I think he is the best playmaking support in the West. And his eye for snap engages in particular is just, no other support really seems to do it like he does, whether it's Rel, whether it's Rakan. Those are like the two frontrunners in particular. He just knows his role, and his ability to, even if I can't remember whether it was Grubs or whether it was Herald in his Rel game in the series, but it's like he starts off the fight. Actually, I think it was in the, no, it was this series. It was game 2. I think he's getting caught, and then before he dies, he just flash RWs straight into like 3 people on choke, and there's no counterplay. I think he actually manages to stay alive for 2 or 3 seconds, almost the full channel of the ult, and he completely turns around the fight because then Jojo is able to ult on top of him, and it completely stops like any advance from G2. That guy's really good. Super as well. I mean, the one contingency, if I remember what I said very explicitly about MKOI, was that if MKOI were going to do it, it would be through bot lane. Super now, and explicitly Alvaro are very, very fucking good. And I think a lot of the foundations of this, now championship holding side have come from the fact that I think, honestly, they fucking bot gapped 3 out of 4 of those games really heavily. And even the game where they lost, which was the Zeri Braum game, it was like they're sitting there with no agency in the game. They're pretty much trying to survive the Vi and the Annie engage. And then if they can survive that, awesome. But it's point and click with Vi, a bunch of additional like dive. Realistically, Super's not going to really live that, even with Poppy and Braum sitting on his head like 8 times out of 10, unless G2 really fuck up the engage prior. So that game was almost a situation where he's not allowed to play Super, and he kind of still half did. And yeah, I'm not sure what else to say other than that. On the positive side, I want to put one little foot down though.
Okay,
we've got to stop this JoJo narrative before it gets too out of hand.
Oh, come on, man! You are
no Korean
descent mid lane hater.
No, we've got.
You're like, yeah, they only won.
If the mid laner's got Korean blood, I ain't in it. I'm not here for it. No, like, joke aside, right?
Sorry, Cloud9. Sorry, FlyQuest.
Yeah.
like
he's
joke aside,
racist towards Loki. Perfect.
yeah. Well, hey, I can't be more racist than the LTA socials guy fucking up the images like 3 times in a row.
Dude, that guy really hates Loki.
Like, but I think Jojo has had actually a pretty criminal split, all things considered. I've been throwing around the arbitrary number of I think about 70% of his split has been pretty low performing. I'll frame it like that, and I'll be kind in that regard. Whether it's, getting a little bit raw dogged in lane from time to time. And what's annoying is things like stats will not back this. You just have to watch the lane. You have to watch what happens in the lane. Statistically, he's actually doing okay, which is the jarring thing, because I know when I have a conversation like this, someone is going to go back. Like, they're not going to go back and watch the games.
They're going to do this. They're going to go, Jamada, didn't you see the charm on the cap squall? It was the game-winning play.
I hate it. Like, don't get me wrong. Jojo's highs have been incredible, and they got MKOI over the line. There is no denying that. You can't deny that even. He's the one fucking kissing the trophy right now.
Yeah.
But bro, so many of the old tendencies from before he even came here, and even like Winter Split, are still there. Like getting caught on side lane, making overhypey plays that he doesn't need to make, losing lanes a little bit more hard than he has to. Like, we just need to, like, I want to start a dialogue which isn't about hate, but it's just about realism. That's all. That's all. That's all.
That's what I'm saying. Can't we just be realistic and just realize that a team like T1 is just,
oh boy,
oh no,
one of the worst teams in the LCK right now, and they will just 100% lose no matter what they do to KT later on this week? Like, can't we just start that narrative?
So,
just based on honesty alone.
Point being here, and I'm stealing a bit from the chat because it is also just true. The mistakes that Jojo makes are not rarely punished. Honestly, they've been punished a fair amount in the LEC. But against the Korean teams especially, I'm a little bit apprehensive on the LPL. Whether it's AO or BLG, or I guess IG, Smile, they will punish him a lot more heavy-handedly than I think he's been punished. And I think the room and the window for those high highs to occur will also be significantly smaller. I don't wish him poorly when he goes to MSI. I want him to do well. But I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Jojo has been very, very inconsistent this year. MKOI in general have been, to reuse the phrase again, a sum greater than the parts for the most part for me throughout this split. So I am very concerned for them going up against, hell, even the NA teams. Like, this is the first tournament where I am actually pretty like worried for our teams playing against, whether it's FlyQuest or C9, we're yet to see, or I guess Shopify. If it was Shopify, then I'm less scared, but certainly against FlyQuest and C9, where I'm saying, honestly, the top team out of NA right now is just better than our top team in Europe. Yeah.
All right.
Go on, dGon.
I just feel like it's funny that Jamada is getting the JoJo experience. Like, someone in chat said it best, and I think this is what led to that whole Cloud9 roster blowing up last year. JoJo is good when he needs to be. That's all that matters. And like, to some people, that's not all that matters. Like, to some people, you should be good. You should strive to be the best all the time. And like, it.
Yeah, but he's not good when he needs to be. Like, that was the whole problem last year, is that like when he needed to be at his best, he's like picking like LeBlanc into Maokai and shit, and it's like, bro, just pick like something like standard. So I feel like JoJo is like a randomly clutch player. Like, he'll have like moments where he's clutch, but I don't think that this is like something that you can rely on heavily. And yeah, I mean, I think that this is a good team for him to be on, because
Yeah.
If he was on a top team, like let's say he was on a team where the expectation is to perform, you don't know if you're going to get Winter Jojo or Spring Jojo. He was really bad at like during winter, bro. Like during winter playoffs, he was not good. Like he was really running it. So it's like on a team, like for example, when he was on EG or a team like KOI where they're not supposed to be the favorites, but they have like potential, I feel like that actually suits him pretty well. But I'm just not a fan of just how much variance he introduces to the game randomly. And there are like a lot of mistakes. You can point to moments in these games where it's like, oh, he kind of griefed the game here, or like, oh, this is like really bad. You should probably like lose the game off this. But it ends up being okay because they're ahead. Like the person that I think really deserves a lot of credit for this title is Elyoya. I think Elyoya finds the advantage. Like he's like, okay, I just need to run the game early. Like he knows what he needs to do in order to like put his lanes in a position to win. And when everyone's nervous on the final stage, I feel like the way that he played almost to me completely countered the way that it feels like G2 wants to play, because G2 are so vegan. Like they are like the most crazy vegan team we have in the LEC. It's like this, they just, I don't know, they just like don't want to fight ever. They'll play Wukong, Nico. They'll have full sums up. It's like, all right, any fight is good. And then they just never fight. Like they just hate fighting, man. And it's like, okay, if you hate fighting, then don't play Kalista, Nico, Talia, Wukong, you know? Like play a comp that is going to just play like Maokai and the stuff that they were playing before. But to me, man, like I think that there's some really big problems with how G2 is playing. And I feel like KOI just like out-confidenced the other teams this time. Like it just felt like they just played with more confidence, and that was, I mean, that's a good way to win. I'm not knocking it at all. I think it's a good way to win. And they tested the fact that you've got some vegetable eaters on the side of G2, bro. They are like, they're crazy.
What are they, rabbits, bro? Like,
yeah, they are. I mean, Kalista Nico, like the whole thing about Kalista Nico, the reason why it's so good is not only do you have abusive lane, you also have the ability to like really go in for your engages because you can save the Nico after. So you should be very, very happy to play these games where you can just like, oh yeah, I mean, I could just fucking just flash R anytime I want. It's probably yeah, you can just go hard anytime you want. And they just, I don't know, bro. They just refuse to fucking go hard like correctly. It was just tough to watch, man. It was really tough to watch.
Yeah. I love that. Vegetable eaters. We'll use that one. MKOI, get it done. Let's go to the two teams that we have yet to see how things will work out here. Let's do Shopify. Let's do KT first. KT, they've had their run. They barely made it into a tiebreaker for the 5th, 6th spot. That whole tiebreaker that we had in the LCK, that wasn't even for this road to MSI run. But then they like beat the shit out of DK into like possible Showmaker retirement talks, and then beat the shit out of Nongshim as well. Game 1 was close, and then after that it was just shellacking. And now all of a sudden everyone's on the KT hype train. BDD is back to being one of the best mid laners in all of the LCK. Duck Dom is the right duck that they picked, remember, because they had Paddock. And Peter is like the darling for everyone that just likes cute things. So, and Perfect looks like he, found some confidence a little bit. And then it's the Cuz meta. KT is the hot team in the LCK, other than Gen G, but Gen G is kind of like boring. Like KT is the hot team. They have been ranked like 1st through 3rd in all stats, in almost all the stats since round 2 started. And have a good chance of upsetting T1 here. What do you make of this KT team as we move towards the LAN?
So I think KT is pretty interesting because of the fact that they have like really honed in on what would make them a strong team. Like Cuz knows his role on the team. He's like, I'm just the dog jungler now. Like I am just the dog jungler. I will just play like Jarvan game 1 if I need to, like Jarvan, Trundle, whatever. My goal is to get BDD ahead. And I like teams that are realistic with like what their strengths are, you know? Like they know that it's like this team is the BDD show. If BDD doesn't carry, we fucking lose. So like we need to put all our eggs in the BDD basket, and we will just hope that he will like get it done. And they're being rewarded. Like he's getting it done like every fucking game, bro. Like he could play Rise. BDD's job, 10 CS a minute. Like I'm just gonna have 10 CS a minute every single fucking game. And you just accept, you just enjoy. Like he's gonna get some work done. Everyone else relax, get out of his way, and things will be good in the long run. So I respect when teams really just hone in on what their strengths are, and they just know who are like the bus drivers on the team. Who are the guys that are actually supposed to be fucking carrying this game? Like, they know, bro. There's no confusion about like who the best player on this team is. And it's good to see teams play like with that confidence in him. Like everyone just is aware of their job. dGon is the same way. dGon is going to play some type of utility AD carry or some carry that's going to just not need resources within the game. He's just going to chill out, do his thing. Like Cuz will just play to gank, stabilize lanes. Perfect's going to get out of his way. BDD will carry. Like that's just what you need to do in order to win. So yeah, I really like teams like this. And I think they're like super fun to watch right now.
They are. They're very fun to watch, and I think Perfect's evolution is a little bit bigger because he showed us that he can play Gwen and Jace. Like we know that his Rumble is his best champion, and for some reason they keep teams give him Rumble.
I mean, he played a really fucking bad Rumble game versus Gwen versus Dom1. That was a fucking horrible Rumble game, but like
he's able to impact. He's able to make the impact on it. I feel like Doran should play Rumble. Just take the Rumble away and then make him beat you on other champions.
He should play maybe TFT or something as well. I think that maybe that would be better for him. That'd be his speed.
Doran's speed?
Yeah. That'd be his speed.
Jamada, well, depends. If they lose, he'll have a lot of time to play TFT in the offseason with all the content that they need to make. Jamada, what do you make of this KT team?
I mean, honestly, they're all on the same page. To steal Spawn, and then technically Dom also kind of popularized it, like the CEO janitor structure, right? BDD is the CEO. dGon is the COO. And then Cuz is the CFO. And then Perfect and Peter are basically the janitors. That's how it feels to me. Why is Cuz the CFO? He's the financial guy. He's making sure that BDD's got money in his pocket. If the CEO doesn't need to perform, or well, I mean, he always is, but if he's not performing, then dGon, whether it's utility or not, he's the next guy. He's the next chain of command guy who they have to lean on. So you've got your three heads of operations right there, and then Peter and Perfect are for the most part doing a fucking stellar job at keeping shit mostly clean. I think the DK series was kind of a weird one though, just to kind of get into the small nitty-gritties of it, because I think the Nongshim series was it was what it was in its little vacuum. I don't know, if Lehens doesn't have his head on, then that team just falls apart very quickly, is how I'm going to summarize all three games. But the game one, it felt like DK really gave good, like, DK made decisions around objectives, which I don't think, like, DK felt were good for them, but were not actually good for them at all. And it felt like just kind of favored like KT heavily. Like, as an example, I think it was the second dragon. DK could probably have fought on their item spikes in game number one, but they pretty much just left it. Like, they had set up for it and everything. They just went and like handshook Herald for dragon, and that felt really strange. Like, I feel like they should have been stacking dragons in that game, just because of the way that it opened up, and they decided not to. But even beyond that, it was just like weird. The Atacon, I think, in game one was also weird, and then the way that game one ended. If you have avoided somehow the ending of game one DKKT, go and watch it. Just go and see what DK allowed to happen to them via BDD.
Yeah, I mean, it's pathetic. Like, you see that shit and it's like, dude, and look, you know what's crazy? I'm almost convinced that has to be a barrel call. I am almost convinced. Like, can you imagine anyone else making that call on that team besides for Beryl? The thing is,
No.
if people want to give Beryl all the credit, shot calling wise, when things go well, then you also have to give him all the credit when things like this go horribly in an unlosable game.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, bro. Like, I don't fucking make the rules. That's just what it is. If you want to say that he's the reason why this team was so smart before, and he's the main shot caller, and that's what he does for every single team. I mean, it looked like somebody made this fucking call. Somebody made this fucking call. And I don't know who else would be that confident to make a call like this on this team. Like, and it's crazy, bro. It is actually crazy. They let a Rise literally just start at his nexus and just right click the enemy nexus. And that was it. Like, he didn't move. Like, he just straight clicked down bot lane and just kept on going until he killed the enemy nexus. In a game where you're winning, you just let somebody right click your enemy nexus. Like, bro, this is this is less excusable than even like the TL losing to minions thing. Like, this is like crazy levels. This is just insane to me. So I saw this shit. I could not believe my eyes. I could not believe that they actually just let this happen.
He was on Vision. I'm looking at it now. He was on Vision to the end of the Nexus blowing up for a minute. It was a minute of like, at any point, a recall is going to take 8 seconds. A TP will take, 5 seconds with the travel time. At any point, they get back there and they stop it. But no, it was another one of those.
The best
all
part,
gas, no brakes.
the best part was that BDD like considered recalling too. I think it was after he took the tier 2, he like started the recall and he was like, hold on, these guys are fucking griefing. Like, they're actually not pushing fast enough, and he just stuck it out. So yeah, if you've somehow managed to miss it, just go back and watch, even if it's just the last 2 minutes of DKKT game 1.
Just watch from 37 minutes.
Yeah,
it's only a minute.
It's really good. And yeah, like DK just kept on making really strange decisions throughout that series. Like again, actually around the Dragons, it was like they decided to prio grubs when I think they had at least one timer where they could have done Dragon. Like the Kalista team, they were winning 2v2. I think they swapped out of bot themselves. Like, it wasn't, if I recall it correctly, it wasn't KT that even swapped out of bot. It was DK that swapped out of bot first. And then they give over first drag again, like handshake. KT are just sat there like, well, if they're gonna give it to us, then I guess we'll get to scale. Like, there's no problem. We're playing fucking Ari Pantheon Yorick. We're gonna just win side lane anyway, as long as we get to overload. And that's more or less what kind of ended up happening. Anytime DK made a decision on the map, it felt really like telegraphed, and KT were able to read the map really well and cross map it very appropriately. So yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. It was just really weird from DK, but like, good job to KT for punishing it and like just staying consistent and knowing what they wanted to do inside the game. Like, that is the main takeaway for me from KT out of that series.
Yeah. I mean, I also just feel like teams like Damwon and Ongshim just haven't improved. Like, when I look at Damwon, I see almost zero improvement from the beginning of winter to now. Like, I don't know what they do better than what they used to do before. It feels like not only have they not improved at any like tangible aspect of the game, they also just have low confidence because of the fact that they've been losing so much. So like, the combination is horrible. Like, that is like one of the worst combinations you could possibly have when it comes to like trying to fucking win. Like, when you're trying to fucking win, you want to at least you either want to have confidence or you want to have skill, but they have neither. So it's like, this team is just they actually just deserve to be in the lower group. They are actually just the 6th best team in LCK. Like, I don't know what else to say. They're just the 6th best team in LCK. And the way that they play out these comps, man, like, it should be such an unlosable game for them, that game 2, because they should just be able to stack Drakes. They have scaling. They should be really happy to just play this game out. And they're just fighting in the middle of mid lane, like a North American team, to be honest. They're just fighting in the middle of mid lane the entire game. It's like, bro, please just go into like your zone and let the Azir like poke them out and play with your range somewhat. But no, they're just in the middle of mid lane, like trying to win. It's like, oh, guess we lost again. Let's try it again. Oh, we lost again. Let's try it one more time. Then they actually win a fight. Oh, let's keep on trying to get as much as we can. End up dying again. I don't know, bro. At that point, what can you even say? Like, they're just not a good team. They don't control space well. They don't have good side lane macro. They don't understand how they want to get to their like items. And then now they don't even have good early game anymore. They used to have a good early game. That used to be what they were strong at. They were like, they understood how to play like a good early game. And then on top of that, they had players that were good at carrying with those leads. So they knew how to play a good early game. And then it felt like, oh, this jungler, Lucid, he gets a fucking lead. If he's playing Viego, if he's playing Lilia, if he's playing like any of the champions that he's specifically good at, game's over. Like, he's just gonna fucking 1v9 with the lead. But they just don't do anything anymore, man. It's just pathetic. Like, it is just a pathetic team. Like, they're really tough to watch. They're king frauds. They might be the most fraudulent team out of all of these teams.
Ooh. All right. Let's move forward to our final team here, because then it'll lead us to Fraud Alert. A Shopify Rebellion. They are the last team here, our underdog squad, who they beat 100 Thieves. They knocked off Team Liquid and now face Cloud9 for that lower bracket spot. And it just, there are multiple ways that you can claim it. B-Boy's always been solid. You know, you give him, he's a solid 80 carry. But Palafox goes from like looking like he doesn't know how to turn the computer on to like all of a sudden Palafaker again and has like a much better performance. Contracts feels like what I feel like you said is cuz he's like, all right, Jarvan game 1, I'm the dog. That's what it is. And just finding angles for everyone else. But most importantly, I think, has been Fudge and the way that he's stepped up, I think, in terms of like understanding what he needs to do and outputting the most amount of damage at the right times here, Dom.
Yeah, I think Fudge has been doing really well. I think that they're another team that like you said, has just kind of like found their identity. Like, Palafox is not trying to carry the games anymore or just be like some superstar mid laner. He's just the guy who in game 1 is going to play Ahri. He's just going to play like Annie, go down 100 CS, and then walk around the map and try to make shit happen. Even in the Ahri game, he's sacking waves in order to try to get good positions with his team. And I think that that's something that Shopify is good at. So, you know, like earlier I said, you either have to be confident or you have to be good. It feels like Shopify is just confident. Like, they're really confident. I don't think that they are like a solid fundamental team. I think there's a lot of things that they don't do well as a team, but they know their own roles and they feel like they could win. Like, they feel confident. So they're dangerous, you know? Like, I'm not going to take them lightly. Like, when prepping and stuff going into them, you know, we're not going to be a team that just looks only at FlyQuest and just assumes we're going to beat Shopify. We're going to have to lock in for the Shopify series because teams that are confident are dangerous, you know? And the way you have to beat them is kind of the same way that IG beat WE today. You have to limit what they're good at, take them super serious, and make them play a game that they are not good at. That's what you have to do.
Shopify worry me because above all of the confidence and everything, I think they are, and everything Dom just said, I think they are just the big thing that I had with them was that they were utilizing contracts in a way where in his early game especially, he was just burning a lot of time, right? I think it was especially during the first part of the year. Well, we didn't see many games out of them, obviously, the first part of the year, but like when Lane Swap especially was still in the game, it felt like they were really dragging him around and not letting him like farm up as much as well, which I think kind of muted contracts and his ability to then help out any other lane beyond the first like 8 minutes of the game, and it really like had them really fucked up. Besides that though, yeah, I was very apprehensive around Shopify because weirdly enough, I had an interaction with a fan a few weeks ago, and normally you won't take fans like takes for more than what they are, but they said, and I'll quote it almost 1-to-1, Shopify are more or less the second best team in NA. They're gonna make a run, and it's gonna look fucking good, and it's gonna be through topside. They actually called that. They said it's gonna be Fudge. They said it's gonna be Palafox. And I said to him,
"That's crazy."
I said to him, "That's exactly what I said." I said, "Brother, you're fucking crazy." The FlyQuest series. He said this after the FlyQuest series at the end of last month, and I said, "Well, okay. I think for the most part, that was a series that I think Shopify could be proud of, like proud of, bar the 10k throw. And at the end of the day, yeah, it seems like they've gone through some clear improvements. Enter the 100 Thieves series. And what I said to him actually was this. I said, okay, I'll take you up on it, all right? I'll believe you, but it needs to be validated by a good eye test series versus 100 Thieves and a good eye test series versus TL. I think the eye test series versus 100 Thieves was really good. And but the caveat there is that 100 Thieves yeah, like they've not evolved. They are the exact same team. If they don't get a lead in 20 minutes, they just fall flat on their face. It's all hands, no breaks.
They're just Dom one. They're the same exact team. It's like they haven't got better at all. And now they just have like less confidence. They just like feel like they can lose. Before they're like, oh, we'll get it together. We'll fucking win.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, oh, we might actually just fucking suck. Like maybe we just suck. It's a tough reality to come by.
With TL, I want to be like, yeah, like Shopify taking down TL is a really, really big deal. But they are just going through what they're going through with their jungle swap. And overall, in a similar way, they don't look as confident as they did at the start of the year. APA and Impact are still grossly underperforming. And even the one positive thing about this lineup being Yeon, it's like Yeon and Core ain't even really, like, they're trying, bro. They're really trying, but they, like, you know, if what's happening mid lane and what's happening in top is happening, then there's not really much they can do. If they don't have like some crazy preordained plan like they did in the best of 3 series against TL basically a month ago now. Whereas like, yeah, we're just gonna draft basically an unlosable 3v3 bot and then just let Yuji have his way with contracts. If shit like that's not happening, then TL just look really toothless right now.
Yuji was so nervous. Like I was like rewatching the games. He's like canceling autos when he's clearing. He missed his W on Crab as like Xinjiao. Like there's the fight at Baron where he's like trying to stack 2 Qs and then Q3 a carry.
Yeah.
And he Q3'd the Baron and then just flash E's and then he's just like in like the middle of no one. It's just like, I mean, obviously he's in a really rough situation, but he was just like completely choking out of his mind. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Like he just was insanely nervous to the point where he wasn't even functional as a player.
Yeah, and in a way you've got to feel a little bit like bad for Yuji just because I think it's a very high tension situation to come into, right? You're playing on one of the teams with, you know, the highest expectations in terms of like grading. And the team was already pretty dysfunctional beforehand anyway, right? And you're a rookie. It's not an easy situation to walk into.
I mean, if you were to do power rankings before the split, everyone would have TL and FlyQuest top 2 before the season. It would be like, it wouldn't even be close because they both retained the same exact roster and they both dominated NA last year. So there's no reason to believe that like this low-key kid coming in is going to like help C9 somehow surpass these teams that proved macro-wise they were ahead of the other teams by like a pretty significant margin. So it's actually crazy to see how it's going, man. It's crazy to see how it's going for TL because obviously some things happened to them, like the fact that they lost lane swaps. I think that was really terrible for them.
Fearless also, I think, doesn't help this team either.
Fearless fuck them as well. I don't know.
So yeah, like there's a lot of shit going on with TL, basically. Long story short. So whilst I want to praise Shopify for still backhanding them the way that they did, this win also, like, by eye test, comparatively to the 100 Thieves one, doesn't necessarily even feel as good. And at the end of the day now, they've got 2 more best of 5s before making the whole run, right? A reality.
Yeah.
And I just think that the gap is too big between them and C9 and like FlyQuest in a world where they do beat C9. I don't think Lightning strikes twice in this regard. But it's the confidence thing, and they've got the why not us mentality, and that's what's scary. That is a terrifying thing. And even, you know what, Dom, you said like, Palafox is like slaving away on you know, like Annie and Ari, bro. Like he's even getting he pulled out one LeBlanc game. He was feeling himself the game 4, and he he split APA's cheeks on the side lane and in lane throughout a lot of it. Like APA could not lane. I mean, don't get me wrong, horrible matchup for Ziggs, but like, bro, Palafaker mid lane midfielder genius, right? Like it just felt a lot like that. So I think if they come into the C9 series, you know, with confidence, with solid game plans, I think they'll make it a fun series to watch. Do I think they're going to win? I'm not going to give a verdict after what happened with MKOI. I'm just going to let the timeline go on without my opinion being out in the wind because I'm scared. I'm scared about what I might do to NA after what happened with MKOI. But yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to just that top side again. Like Fudge is performing well. Contracts feels like he's found his identity, and I think he's probably telling his laners in the early game to fuck off a little bit more, unless the play looks good. Because again, I feel like any bit of tape I watch from Shopify, especially in winter and at the start of this split, Contracts will get called to a lane, and then he'll sit in a bush for like 30 seconds, and then go, "Yeah, this play isn't good," and then recall. But like half of his jungle camps already spawned up, so he just like lost a bunch of tempo, and the enemy jungle just starts to snowball an individual lead. I don't see that happen like anywhere near as frequently, and I think that that's a pretty big deal, more than people would like to give, when it comes to just like fighting around, especially the early objectives, right? Like first dragon, grubs, being 6 or even like being 7 by the time grub spawn. If you get like a really, really good efficient clear, is like a massive, massive game changer. And I think stuff like that is actually happening with Contracts a little bit more frequently now. And shout out Seos. Seos is like actually, Seos is actually having a sleeper good series, or split. I think people are going to really heavily focus on the top side of the map. Honestly, I think that the one person who has been air quotes close to a liability is actually Pivoy. The one you brought up, I think about the Lucian game, where it just felt like I think it was game 2 against TL. And to be fair, it was a long ass game. I think that was the 55-minute game in that series. It is difficult to remain consistent in a game that long, but like, bro, B-Void nearly fucking ran it multiple times, just because he wanted to step up and get like RFC woes or whatever it was. I don't even know. Like, he was just trying to squeeze a little bit too much, and he didn't know where the line was. So he's got to stay in check. Otherwise, like C9 are a psycho team. They will see him do that shit and just like step on his neck immediately. Otherwise, Shopify doing good.
So let's rank them now. MKOI and WE had their finishes, but you can rank it however you want. You can base it off of the players. You could base it off the moments. You're not based, but just have points there. The league that they're in and the end result. Rank them: MKOI, KT, WE, and Shopify Rebellion. Which is a little weird because 2 of them haven't finished yet. But just go ahead now that we've broke them all down.
Dom, you want to take it first?
Sure. So I'll go. I think MKOI is at the top because they actually won. So it's like kind of unfair. And then I would go KT, then WE, then Shopify. Now I think WE probably deserves second. But I think that KT, like, they could still, I mean, they could even make MSI. So like, it's kind of hard to judge them because they're not done yet either. But I'll throw KT over WE because WE had such a disappointing performance today, kind of how I see it.
I think it's the dream, and it's part of the reason why I found this interesting that it's not done yet. It's the dream that, holy shit, they beat T1 in a telecom war on a road show. The first time they've been on a road show.
I mean, I do think they're just better than T1 right now.
Okay, go on.
I just think that they played the game better than T1. I think T1 has a lot of issues when it comes specifically to how they draft. That's been a problem forever, but I feel like this is even more of a problem now than it was before. It feels like they're really just committing on the style of okay, well, Goomba's just going to play Goomba champs, which I think that right now it looks like a similar thing is happening right now for KT, but KT just has picked better champions to one trick, they're no, we're just going to play these champions because we think these champions are actually just better. So I think that's a huge issue.
Jamada, who you got? KT T1.
I got KT too, man. Look, Have I been big on T1 this year? Like almost ever?
No.
There you go. Like I to me, the cards are just stacked against T1, and I would almost go as far as saying, if T1 win, I think I would. I think it's about lopsided enough. I would consider it an upset. Like I think T1. I'm dead serious. Don't make your face, bro. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. I think T1 are in a lot more disarray than people like to admit. And I think it's just because of who they are. And that's okay. But I feel like if they're going to play like they've accepted Guma champs or Guma champs, my stance since the Smash Guma stuff has always been slam owner on carries, let him be the guy. All right? Let him be the one that you actually play for, give resources to. And they started doing that once Guma came in full, and that seemed to be the identity that they were landing on. But recently they've started going back to like, hey man, yo, Ona, Skana looks pretty fucking good here, right? Like, yo, you could give us a little tank game here and there, right? And that's like my main concern is if they start slamming Ona on tanks. I think he just needs to, stay on Pantheon Zin, Wukong. I didn't like the Talon that he tried, which like really got a lot of people hyped, even though it like won. That's a fake ass champ. Stuff like the Fury, right? Anything where he can snowball an early lead individually for himself and actually take over a game. Those are the champs that Ona needs to be on. And then Faker. Be on facilitating champs, right? Your Gallios, your Rises, your Talias, that kind of deal. Do that. Thorin, as long as you don't die level 3, fuck it, I'll give you a pass at this point. Like, just don't die, don't get solo killed in lane. That's like that is the bar right now for Thorin. And I think T1 are okay, but to be honest, I think KT have a much better understanding of who they are as individuals and as a team. I think they have shown a very clear tendency to be on the same page on any given play significantly more frequently than T1 have. Bar a massive clutch up here from T1, I think this is like 3-1 KT. I don't even think it's like a 5-game, like, hey, this is like close. I think KT take this like 70% of the time or like 65% of the time.
I'm going to check real quick in our work Slack because we had to make our predictions.
Oh, okay.
But I think you guys are right. I do think that going into this, T1 are underdogs according to the global team.
They'd have to be. I don't think there's no way you could look at the last couple of series that T1 played compared to KT and go, yeah, like T1 are favorites here. That you can't. You just can't. They got pushed about by HLE. They got 2-0'd by Nongshim as well. Just very, very unsatisfying series to watch. It's a little while ago, so my memory is a bit hazy on it. They've lost to all of the top teams. Like, in recency, in their most recent series. And it didn't really look that good either. Argument maybe for the Gen G series. I remember it wasn't like super far away from them. Like T1 through the game 1, I recall it. They overreached on the top tier 2.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't think they ain't been putting up numbers that have or performances that have looked good. KT have.
It's 4-3, so it's a split here for global. But yeah,
is it KT sided or T1 sided?
Yeah, it's KT sided. It's KT sided. KT sided 4-3.
This is why we like the KT global team, the LCK global team.
Yep,
that's one of the reasons, I guess.
I think it's just realistic. Like, I don't know. Like you can't be hyped about the last series that T1 played. I refuse to believe you can like see like how they played versus Hanwha Life and just especially just even the way they draft. Like I don't think anyone sees T1 lock in like Lucian Braum and they're like, nice. Like this is they got it this time. Like every time they lock, because they don't even lock in like Lucian Braum in a super good situation. Like late. I mean they're doing this in a best of 3 game 3 with like other ADs just up. Like all the like best ADs are up and they're like, yeah, Lucian Braum right here. Game 1 it's like Jin, Zaya, Varus if it's up. It just feels stale. I don't know. It just feels really stale to me.
Yeah. Let's close this segment off What do you got here in order of your underdogs here, Jamada?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, similarly to Dom, Koi won, so it would feel a little remiss to not have them at the top. But like if we were ranking this on number scale, it wouldn't be like a 9 or a 10. It would be like mentally a 7, but they have to go at the top because they won no matter what. I'm putting WE second. Obviously KT, a little bit more hype around them, I think, in general. But bro, W made me believe. W made a lot of people believe that they could do some funny business. And frankly, I think people would have believed even more and bought in even more had BLG won their series against AL. Because I feel more people would have been like, yeah, W might be able to take it against AL comparatively to BLG, right? Because I think most people, once BLG got knocked into the lower bracket, probably started going, well, if they beat IG, cool, but like the fun probably stops at BLG, right?
Yeah.
But W, like, I think from, if you just take everything into account, right? Fucking start of the year, probably bottom fucking 3-4 of LPL, to being a team that finished top 4 this split. Incredible run. But obviously the playoffs explicitly, very, very impressive. Then I'll put KT down. If KT beat T1, they would go above WE, or they would probably be tied in my head. But KT will go third. Shopify, they have to make it to finals to really, for me to be super impressed. The teams that they've beaten have just had very clear issues, but it's awesome to see the growth that Shopify have clearly gone through. They've bought into an identity, and more than anything, why not us? That seems to be the motto for Shopify right now, which I'm here for. They are a fun team to watch. Bottom line.
That's the old NRG energy right there. Why not us? All right. Finally, we'll do it quick because we already kind of touched on it a little bit in Rankem as we talked about a lot of these teams. This week's fraud alert, it includes Team Liquid and Carmine Corp. Let's get into it. I think my headphones just died, so I gotta figure that part out. But let's get into it. Fraud alert, TL and Casey. All right, we fixed it. All right, TL. Let's finish putting the nail in the coffin here, because not only did they lose, not only did UG not look great, APA lost on Ziggs. There was an interview with Spawn earlier saying, like, if I had a Reddit account, I'd be flaming myself too. I'd be posting all this stuff right now. It does feel pretty damning to be fourth like that. And I appreciate that Spawn, as we know he can, is creating that culture of not only like winning success, but achieving what they know they're capable of doing and setting that tone. But Dom, that loss was not good. It was pathetic. It was not good in the season. Not good.
It was pathetic. I mean, I think the craziest part about this is what he said. They asked him, they're like, was Umpty available today? Do you remember what his response was? His response was, there'll be some news out soon. Which means, like, what does that mean? Like, when I hear that, I just think, is Umpty just cooked? Like, was he just not, like, there at all? Because I think after how nervous UG looked in the first couple games, if you have the ability to go to Umpty, why would you not do it? You know, like, at that point, why would you not do it? It just looked so, like, ridiculously obvious that UG was collapsing under the pressure. So the fact they didn't go to Umpty there made me think, all right, this team, like, they're probably just going to go UG full time, and Umpty's probably just done. You know, like, he's probably done. I mean, obviously, we'll see. We'll see what news he's talking about, but I don't know what other news would come out. Like, when you think about that, is there anything else that I'm missing? When somebody says, like, when somebody asks you, was this player available today? And then you said, can't really talk about it much. There'll be news out soon. What else would that mean? You know? So it's pure speculation. I just think
it would be cooked, releasing the other guy. It would be like, no, like UG UG. We tried UG, didn't quite work out. We're going back. It requires one of the two being gone. That like
all
that's
right, yeah, okay, I can see that. I didn't even consider that a possibility because, like, I mean, they just got this kid. Like, if they get rid of UG, I feel like that's crazy. Like, come on, that's crazy.
Yes,
You get rid of UG right here. Like, he can't play for your team. Come into the worst situation available. You guys hype him up. Then he plays like one bad series, and you're like, actually, just go fuck yourself, UG. Like, that would be just ridiculous to me. So I can't see that one, but I guess it is possible. But yeah, I mean, it just seems scary, bro. I hear that shit. Seems scary. So we'll have to see what happens on that front. But yeah, I mean, in general, like, you're looking at this team and they just look like they're underperforming so much. Impact doesn't look like Impact. A lot of the stuff that they were really good at, like the way you would think that TL would play, right? If you were just to think about, okay, this is the meta, this is what you can do. The way that I would see them playing most games is I would think that they would be the team that would be like giga swapping still. They would just be swapping all the time. Like, okay, they can't lane. 4 minutes, they swap, they play Cassante, like whatever, they like lane more, they keep on swapping, try to keep you like off your toes. Then they like incorporate their weird champs. They're really good at like overloading sides. Like, I would think that this would be their playstyle, but it doesn't feel like this is their playstyle at all. You know, like, look, everything I just said is just all things that they never really do. That just play super standard. It feels like they don't really even have like advantage when it comes to like the fights that they're in anymore. Like, it doesn't feel like they're getting fights that they really want on timers that are really good for them. They're kind of doing the same thing that Damwon was doing. They're just fighting in the middle of mid lane, right? They show up in the middle of mid lane. They don't have an advantage. They didn't take control of the zone. Nothing good is happening. And then they just are like, fuck it. The other guy's throwing spells. Let's throw our spells back. And they just end up in some fight that's just completely neutral. Whoever hits their buttons better wins. But all the things that they were really good at when they were the best team in North America have all disappeared. You know, like APA side laning, that was his thing, right? He would play Corki, he'd play Tristana, he would go in the side lane, and he would just get a huge lead, and he was like, oh yeah, I learned how to do this from Caps, and I was like, what the fuck? It's so impressive. This guy like actually knows how to play side lane. We've had players that have played in North America for years that never got good at side lane like that. Like, Palafox is still not good at side lane like that. The way Palafox plays is he will go into the side lane and then just catch a wave and then try to, like, if he has a timer, he'll just try to move first. And that's his advantage. He's like, okay, I'll just move. I'll move, and hopefully some fight happens, and that'll be good. That's what he's trying to do with his advantage. So yeah, like, I look at this team, and they just look so defeated, and it's just tough for me to rate a team that used to have such defined strengths, and now when I look at them, none of them are like evident anymore. Like, I just feel like it feels like I'm like a crazy person, and these strengths never even existed in the first place or something.
Yeah. Jamada, what do you make of them in terms of the fraudulency?
I mean, if we were to kind of actually take the position of Dom here for a second, came first, last split, went internationals, didn't do that well. But at the end of the day, coming into the year, coming into the split, people had them 1-2 still. Hard to really argue. I mean, Dom's covered a lot of the issues that they've had. There's obviously the grander issues of things like the way that the game has changed, and them subsequently not being able to really find a suitable middle ground via obviously like lane swaps out of the game, fearless, that kind of deal. But at the end of the day, the game changes. You have to change with it, and it doesn't really feel like between Umpty and UG coming in out, and just overall the levels of performance that we're seeing on stage games, that they've been able to find any kind of middle ground to at least look like a palatable team. Because that is the main thing. They just look flat. They don't look. Yeah. They don't look like they want to be there. Like, not physically in terms of the player cams. I haven't looked at them. I'm just talking about the way that they play the game. It's like, well, I guess we'll take this play. Like, yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? That is how a lot of their gameplay looks right now.
Sure.
So from like the perspective of, hey, they went to internationals, finished first, last split, like the fraudulency is kind of high, but at the same time, I didn't really have them pegged for anything higher than third, right? And they've come fourth anyway. So it's like, how bad is it really? But I mean, also, it's pretty fucking bad, you know? Like,
I mean, it's one thing to go fourth when 100 Thieves is playing well, and it's like, okay, 100 Thieves, but it's like, they let Shopify go from being not even close to their skill level, like significantly worse than them, to being comprehensively better than them, like in almost every way. So when I see that, it's just like they can't underperform much more in my mind. Like I can't imagine how they could underperform more than how they underperformed. Like realistic, what could they could have become 100 Thieves and went 6th? I think that's unrealistic for a team like that.
I think the reasonable number is a high 7, like a 7.8. Arguably higher depending on where your hatred lies, but I think any lower doesn't make any sense. The floor has to start. The floor has to start like 7.8 for me. He's at 8. I mean, it just
I'll go 8.5. I'll go an 8.5.
I think
pretty
the
fucking bad.
Substitution makes it worse. The substitution makes it worse. But if you have him 3rd, which I think, I don't know. Like it felt like Cloud9 was close, and we know that FlyQuest is close. Like was the team and still is the team. Then, yeah, like 4th doesn't seem that far off. However,
they just didn't put up like any fight.
Like, the way it happened.
It would be like super reductive to not like add the context of everything and how they lost, right?
Yeah, sure.
But it's one of those things where like if you're a fan or like of like the LTA, not TL, and like you tune in every like once in a while, you look at that result and go, oh well, they didn't finish like too far away from where they are. But like again, it's what's inside the cake that is more telling than what it actually looks like. Yeah.
Well, speaking of teams that went to first stand and then didn't make it, Karmine Corp is the other team that did not do that from the West. They dropped 3rd. Obviously, we've talked a lot about MKOI and good Jojo, bad Jojo, good bot lane, bad bot lane. To Jamada's credit, he did say Kalist. No one's brought the belt out on Kalist and bad habits that he's made here. And they fall down to MKOI and won't be going to MSI, won't be going to EWC, won't be building upon what felt like a lot of like aura. I feel like they lose a lot of aura.
I mean,
like more than Team Liquid to me.
Bro, even like to be honest, the broadcast side of things too, like they were
the broadcast.
I love those guys. No, don't throw no hate down on them. Like
no,
they're doing their job. They're doing their job.
No, they're doing this dog shit. I see the same thing in NA where it's like Casey wins a split, and then people don't view it as like, oh well, Casey, they did win the split, but when they went to first stand, I guess they beat the PCS team. They went 2 over top esports who looked like they were completely choking. They lost the first time they met into G2, and G2 like choked in the finals. And instead of the narrative being like, these guys showed us something, like they're pretty good, they might be the best team in the region, they're acting as if they're prime G2. They're like, yep, Casey runs the region now, and like they are just the kings of the region, and everyone has to fucking be better than them. We see the same thing in fucking North America. Like we see the same thing with FlyQuest, right? We go into the game versus FlyQuest, and this is how you know this narrative is bullshit. We were 3-3 in the year versus FlyQuest, and if you were to watch the broadcast, you would think that the betting odds would be like 5-1 for Cloud9 to beat FlyQuest. You would think that it would never be even close between the two teams. When in reality, it's like we were pretty even throughout the year. Yeah, we lost 1 best of 3 that like didn't really matter, and then since then they had a kind of like shaky first round of playoffs versus Shopify where they 3-0'd them, but it was the longest 3-0 of all time, and then we like pretty much dominated TL and our like 3-0. So it was like, okay, they looked competitive. We looked competitive versus them the whole split. We beat them the first time we played in winter. We beat them in the best of 1. We got shit stomped in the best of 3. But that looked like an aberration. I mean, if you're honest about how our team looked, that did not look like the standard level of play where it's like, yep, we're just looking shaky all the time, and then we just look dog shit versus FlyQuest, and it just shows that we're not good. Like, I would have said, sure, it's fine to have FlyQuest as the number 1 team, but it should be like a close narrative. And this is how you know that the narrative on LTA was bullshit. They didn't do the same thing for TL versus Shopify. This is how you know, because when TL played Shopify, the last time they played the day before we played against FlyQuest, and the same thing happened. Do you remember that? That was the series where Core JJ invaded contracts and just put them behind.
The horrors of Poppy.
Yeah. He just Poppy invaded and just ran the whole game, and they like lost both games in like 20 minutes. They lost like even harder than we lost. And when they went into it, they're like, Shopify versus TL, it's gonna be pretty close. Like who's gonna do better? Like I think Shopify could win this one. It was just like so much different than the narrative of like what happened between us and the other team when we literally had the same results where it's like we looked competitive the entire split, and then we had like one bad best of 3 in like a placement best of 3 that still doesn't fucking matter. You know, like it's like a placement best of 3 when we've already secured like top 2, and it's like, okay, we get to play Shopify or TL, which we both think we're better than going into first round of playoffs, and both FlyQuest and us both 3-0'd those teams in that round. So when I see these narratives, it feels like whenever a team becomes like the best in the region for any small amount of time, they get like this ridiculous overhyping as if they have been running the region for a long period of time. And like what G2's done in Europe is way different. Like G2's success 2023, 2024 is way different than how KC won. KC was an underdog going into the finals versus G2, and yeah, they ended up winning, and that's impressive. But every time I hear these narratives, I just feel like they overblow who the number one team is. And I don't even think it does anything for the storyline. Like as a broadcast, I don't know why you'd want to make it seem like one team is significantly better than the other instead of making it seem close if it is close, so that like you could feel like both teams could win. Like wouldn't it be more hype to just talk about, oh, both these teams are pretty good, let's see who wins?
It swings many ways. We're supposed to be talking about KC, mate, first off.
But when we use the David versus Goliath meme or like narrative, trope, when it's incorrect, I agree with Dom.
Yeah.
Like,
but also I've got to say, Dom, have you and the C9 boys just tried having aura? Like, have you done that before? You know,
bro.
Have you? Like,
I don't even think FlyQuest has aura. Like the way that they play is not like an aura play style.
Actually,
they just like
no.
farm.
Have you seen how Whippo plays in the top lane and the champions that he pulls out? And the way that Inspired has all of these pocket picks. Have you
I don't know, bro. I see a lot of aura, dude. When I see Thanatos play like that rumble gank out, and he just looks so insanely Korean, just dodges everything. Galio throws a Q, he like walks in on the Q, and then they like the whole enemy team dies. I'm like, that's a fucking aura there. That shit looks mega Korean.
All right, Cloud9, you need to restore the Cloud9 social. You need to restore the aura by making one of those LPL cuts of all the skill shot dodges that Loki does to Palafox in game number 2. And you got to put it out before they play FlyQuest in the finals. So come on. There it is.
W social directions.
Yeah.
Casey, though. Man, same. You remember? I'm just going to refer back to the conversation. You asked me, Casey or the field.
Casey or the field.
I didn't want any of those motherfuckers, bro. And this is why. Yeah. This is exactly why. Like
I had the field. I took the field over Casey.
I respect your decision. I didn't want a part of any of it, to be honest with you, because of the exact way that playoffs has happened to play out. Even had G2 like won, and this is obviously post us having that conversation, it still wouldn't have even felt that good. Like it would just be like, oh well, I guess G2 are the best team again, and it's like they probably wouldn't have even looked.
Nah, they're just
anywhere near.
Man, they play. They need Mickey X on that team so bad. They need somebody who's like willing to fight. I feel like their team, like Skewmond, is just somebody who wants to farm perma. Like he just wants to perma farm. And then it feels like Lebrov permanently tries to not lose the game. That's how I feel when I'm watching him. Like I don't feel like he has the like this is the play we need to make. Like he doesn't have that like we need to do this in order to win. It's just like if I just don't do anything, we'll win.
The weird part though is that he didn't look like that with BDS last year. Like it was arguably the opposite. Like this guy was the catalyst and playmaker for a lot of the
and doing too much
team fights. 100%. Like, but that is seemingly what you'd probably want out of a support, as long as you can rein them in a little bit.
That's actually not how I felt about Lebrov when I was watching him last year. Like when I was watching him last year, I mainly felt like he was just like confident on a few picks. Like he was just like a one trick type player. It was like you're either like if he's playing Blitzcrank or like Rel when Rel was good, he'll play like that. But he didn't seem like he has confidence to like play the fucking role of support in a best of 5. Like he's unwilling to just do things that feel risky in order to win a series. Like if Mickey X is going into a elimination best of 5 versus him, and Mickey X is like, I'm throwing down Nautilus blind first pick. LeBron was unwilling to be like, okay, I'll match that with a Leona or something. He's like, nope, can't play Leona. This is like when Leona is super high prio and everyone thinks it's completely fucking broken. This is like Warmugs being like ridiculous and shit. Like, it's like, nope, you take that. I will just relax. Like I'll just do whatever I want to do. I'll play a matchup that's a counter pick. Like he would pick Rakan into Nautilus. It's like, bro, you just counterpicked yourself instead of picking the champion that everyone likes into Nautilus. It just looked like so vegan to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad. I think the champion prio stuff was definitely very odd at times. But at the very least, I didn't feel like he was super far away in terms of like prios holistically, where it's like his best champs were just Rel Rakan, Blitz. That was like the three. And when you looked at like Alvaro last year, similar deal. Rel Rakan, best champs by far and away. His Leona as well, probably like his third best. But yeah, this KC, they look fraudulent in the regular split. No one was like super confident then. I wasn't super confident in them coming into playoffs. Both their Koi series, just I don't know, man. Like, nothing really gave me a lot of confidence to be like, yeah, this team can just do the repeat. Again, looking back at things like just the games that they won in the Koi series, a lot of them felt kind of handed to them by Koi, right? Whether it be draft or just like decisions that they made once they were in game. Again, highlight the game 4 of the lower bracket finals last weekend. And just throughout, I don't know what needs to change inside of this team to feel a little bit more consistent, whether it's a confidence thing or like, I don't know. They're a bit of a fucking conundrum to me. The main thing that I do know is a lot of the predominant issues are still there. Yike has not been performing in like the highest stakes series outside of basically the G2 finals last split, pretty much. Otherwise, he's just been really muted, which is super, I wouldn't say outside of the realm of how Yike has performed over the last few years, but it's weird to see it now when it feels like he's significantly more comfortable, I would say, in this lineup comparatively to how he was kind of set up on G2 post like the first year and a half, 2 years. And Kalist just needs to be belted. This kid needs to be disciplined, man. Someone has to do it at some point. Like he can't keep doing it. It is not like it is such a fixable fix too, where it's don't step up a mid lane if you don't have people around you. That simple. And it's not even just mid lane anymore. It's now turning into a laning phase issue. It's turning into like still laning phase, but like when lanes are swapped, and I feel like players sometimes will kind of lose track of things a little bit more freely than comparatively if it was just regular laning from start to finish. Same fucking deal. Yeah, Kalist just needs to squeeze a little bit less. Like, it's awesome when he does it and it looks good and it works.
Yep.
Fantastic. He's solo winning games, right? Everyone's going to think about the Ezreal play that he did. Oh God, I can't even remember who it was against, but it was, he fucking double killed. Was it G2? It was G2, wasn't it? It was on Hans and Lebrov on the mid lane wave. Everyone's gonna remember that and think, yeah, like, dude, he's so fucking good when he steps up and he's willing to like pump out the damage. But if you're doing it in these higher stakes series and you're throwing game states away where your team were really comfortable before then it's like, at what point does someone step in and go, hey kiddo, can we not, bro? Like, it just seems super fixable in that regard. And I think a silent like griefer has been Targamas underneath all of this. I know that, Targamas last year, a lot of fire. It made sense. Targamas is playing like dog last year. Him and Kalist are obviously a much better pairing in general. And Targamas seems a lot more comfortable laning with Kalist comparatively to Upset. But just some of the decisions that Targamas makes in terms of when he wants to go in and what the rest of his team are doing, it's getting to a point where it's a little bit, you can't really ignore it. Like when KC are doing well and people are there and follow up, like obviously looks good, but it feels like he's on another planet a lot of the time. Again, similar deal to Kalist, like someone just got to sit him down, whether it's Yike or like coaching staff, and just be like, yeah, we need to like just relax, just chill out a little bit more. Their run overall just sucked. Like they beat Fnatic, whoop-de-doo. They beat Heretics. Heretics weren't really a contender.
But is that more of like, for Targamas, like, because the Kalist problem feels like more of a him problem. The Targamas problem feels more like a, is that
it could
a
be
him
many
problem,
things.
or is that like a
it could be many things. Like that's one of those things where if you can't tell unless you're in that camp. Like you can't tell if it's I mean, when you see players make plays that like in this kind of vein, sometimes you can tell when it's comms just by looking if you've got the experience, and sometimes you can just tell that it's like the player just ignoring everything going on. I feel like play to play, it just seems like a mix of both. So again, I still feel like the fix is just sitting the brother down and trying to get a little bit more consistency out of him, of like just a mental check, whether it's vocally talking about the engage, talking about what the fight needs to look like, anything like that. That just needs to happen, and it seems like that's not always happening with him and the rest of the KC boys.
Yep. All right, let's number it up here. What do we have here for KC in terms of fraudulency from split 1 to split 2?
I mean, I would say, because I wasn't as high as everyone else on KC, I still think they were a good team, right? But I would say that's like a 5 or a 6 for me. It's not like they're giga fraudulent in my mind. I think that them getting third place is like completely reasonable. Like if, for example, Fnatic G2 were the best two teams in EU this split, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, where is KC? I would just take it for what it was. Also, I think people like really forget how KC was winning all those games. Like they were a team that won by playing, like when they were looked their best, they played mages with fucking do nothing tank jugglers. That was their strategy. They played very slow. They played every single Drake. It was like ERL macro around every single Drake. They held chokes well. They're pretty disciplined about not giving space that they shouldn't give, which is really important. I think that these are things that it was nice to see out of a relatively young team. They actually understood concepts like this, because that's kind of more like the older players view the game like that, and the younger players are like, pick me fucking Akali, bro. Like, let's get in there. Like, we're just gonna like start a fight. Like, let them walk in, I'm fighting, and you just want to go in. You know, like that's the natural tendency of younger players. But they were never like a team that was, to me, good at every style. Like there was nothing to me that signified that they should have a dynasty right now in the LEC. I think that they're a good team that can win, but I think this is a 5 or a 6 for me on the fraudulency scale. I think that people just saw them winning and didn't remember how they won. And then now when they picked things like Sylas the entire split, obviously there were some good moments from Vladi on Sylas, but that never looked like that was actually close to as good as their normal style. Whenever they were picking like the Vi games that were played by Yike and like Pantheon and stuff, it never looked like it was actually natural for them. It was them trying to develop more so that they would not be as readable as a team and have different things. Because eventually, if a team is just like, when we saw it with Hot Life, if a team is like, you're not playing tank junglers with mages in good spots for tank junglers with mages, and they just draft around those conditions, KC just couldn't win. And I think that there's definitely a chance that teams like KOI or G2 could have done the same thing to them here. So for me, I'm going 5 out of 6, or 5 or a 6, 5.5. I just don't think it's that shocking that they didn't win.
All right, Jamada, bring us home.
Whilst I have the same conclusion that I don't think is as shocking, I'm gonna give them a higher ranking of around about an 8. Now the reason why I'm doing that is more because of some of the individual performances. Vladi let himself get fathered by Jojo twice, and we all know how I feel about Jojo. I don't know. I don't know if Vladi was just in his head, or if Vladi was in his own head. But yeah, the guy was just really fucking muted. And just throughout, again, whether you want to talk about the holistic issues of KC, or just, to me, I think the individual underperformances are what like makes this more fraudulent, mixed in with And this like almost feels unfair because at the end of the day, you're always going to talk positively about yourself. But like any article you'd see come out of the KC boys, they really, really hyping themselves up. Yeah, like these guys, they're shit. Like they've got to come and fucking play us. Like this is our region. This is how things go down. And going out the way that they did, pretty much wholly to KOI, really, right? KOI put them in the lower bracket, and then KOI put them in the fucking dirt. It makes this significantly more fraudulent than just like a 5 or a 6. It's like an 8. Am I surprised that they finished here? Not necessarily. I think that the top 4 was a real mishmash, and frankly, it was pretty up in the air, and anyone could have probably won this split with like slight favorites, right? Like most people after the G2 double best of
Fnatic could have never won. That's for sure.
Okay, well I agree, but like we've got to sell it, Dom. All right, like
yeah, okay, all right.
Jeez. So like it was realistically KOI to me were probably KC were, to be fair, probably second favorite just because of the way that I kind of had out everyone. But that again speaks more to the current quality of the league than anything else. Yeah, I think about an 8, 7.8, something like that in that region. KC were giving it the big one, and the only person that really stepped up was Kana. That like genuinely, like I actually kind of feel bad for him to be honest. I feel like he was kind of let down by his team overall this weekend.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. There's our fraud alert in there. Extra fraud alert, just a number. Even though they are going to MSI. G2. What do you just give me a number? No context. We've already gave context. Jamada, number.
Man, I'm torn. There's reasons to go high and there's reasons to go low. I'll go low with them because I mean I'm always a bit lenient on G2. I'll go about 5.
All right.
5 to 6.
I'll go like a 7. They just played too scared. Like they just played way too. It's way too pussified League of Legends for me.
There you go. All right, there it is. G2 entity and G2 fans. We got your official ranking in there after talking about them a little bit.
Also, what the fuck did Caps do? We didn't even talk about Caps. We didn't even talk about what he did at that fucking third. Like just walked at the melee range of Leona and just lost an entire game. What the fuck? Like how? Like how do you just lose the whole game like that? My God. Happens though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it happens though. Rarely to him. But that happened. Shows that even the greats have moments like that. All right, y'all. That was a long one. But we are in the championship stretch of LoL Esports. We've got championship weekend coming up here with LPL finals and semifinals, LCK, Road to Busan, and LTA North and South finals. Isris Gaming and Furia. And then winner of that plays Pain Gaming there down for LTA South. So shout outs to ThinkCard. Good luck, ThinkCard, with Furia Gaming.
Hey, that team's actually improved a lot. That was like a 6th place team, like a 5th, 6th place team. That was just like all hands. So
yeah,
not bad. I respect him for it.
So Dom will have all that coverage there. Jamada will have some of that coverage there. And the VOD reviews. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe here at Power Spike. Thanks to our friends over at Factor Meals. That's factormeals.com/PowerSpike50 off for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. And of course, lastfreenation.shop. We've got our shop up here for Last Free Nation. Shirt, joggers, mugs, keycap, you name it, we got it. Ship with, I think it's $60 anywhere in the US for free. So make sure to buy the stuff, get your limited edition t-shirt. Thank you all so much for watching. Oh, look at that. Jamada's got it. Thank you all so much for watching. And we'll see you next week after we know who's going to MSI and who are the new champs for Split 2.